Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back. Another Tuesday, another great stream. I figured, we haven't talked about agency stuff in quite a while. And I've been getting into some agency debates lately, discussions, we might call them. And there's just things I see over and over and over again. Then I was in a Facebook group or two, and I saw, hey, my client's doing this, and and I just see the same things over and over and over again. And then what popped into my head was like, and then there was that survey, that came out a while ago, and why are 60% of agencies broke? And not doing well, they're struggling, and it's just on and on and on and on and on. So, I do create software, I do create trainings, I do create on, dev and all that, but I also do like to advocate for the agency space and agency owners and freelancers. And I do think that if everybody tightened up across the board, it's kind of going to be here's my screen today. Okay. We're going to go through this together. I do feel like if everything tightened up across the board, like a rising tide lifts all ships, right? So we all get better and we're all better off. Like if I think we all realize that if you race to the bottom, so we all just are like, hey, let's all just race to the bottom. The industry is like, it's going to go in the dumpster. Okay. So we need to go in the opposite direction. How do we go in the opposite direction? We need to get more people on the same page. Hey, how should you be approaching certain things? What are all these common mistakes that people are continuously making? Can we stop making those? Can we make more clients have good experiences so that they don't view our industry as like a used car sales industry, right? These are all the things that we need to talk about and discuss. And of course, this stuff helps you guys. Already better than Fluent Cart's live stream started. Hey, sometimes it works out. Sometimes it's a little shaky. Now, I will say a couple things. One, I have no idea how this is going to go. I've never seen this format. I've never done this format. I tend to like to add a lot of context to things, which means this could be difficult because there's a lot of things on this list. And I don't know how we're going to get through it. We're going to have to do our best. Like I want to go rapid fire, but I also want to not you got to give enough context for each thing. So, and this is not, it's a big list, but it's literally a list where I just sat down and just rattled things off and was like, all right, let's go with that. Like I haven't been thinking about this for weeks or months or putting it together as an official presentation. Now it might become something of that at some point in the future, but I like to just get the drafts out there first. So what I will say is, this will probably be updated in the future. It will probably have things added to it. It might be refined a bit if this ever becomes like an official talk or topic or whatever, or video, maybe a standalone video. I don't know. But with that said, it no doubt you are going to add tens of thousands of dollars minimum to your bottom line if you implement these things. If you recognize, okay, yeah, that's a mistake I'm making. Okay, yeah, that's the thing I'm doing. Okay, yeah. And you make the changes, it is going to pay off in a major way. Okay, so with that said, we need to get into it. Okay, so let's see. I'm just gonna check chat real quick. This is gonna be a hot one. This is it literally is. It literally is. And here's the thing: if you find value in it as we go along, hit like, pay with a like, pay with a comment, drop a comment, not just a chat, drop a comment, and pay most importantly with a share. We just talked about a rising tide lifts all ships. Well, you give this to other agency owners. You say, hey, have you seen this? Hey, have you watched this? Hey, you should definitely give this a watch and some serious consideration, especially if you see people making these mistakes in Facebook groups and other communities. Give them this link and say, hey, maybe go watch this because everybody's going to be better off. I'm telling you, we don't want to be in a race to the bottom industry. And that's kind of, I see in a lot of ways, that is where things are going, and we need to turn that around, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna share my screen. I've got this little Fig Jam board where we can add these things. I've got my notes over here, and we're gonna go through them together. Now, I've tried my best to put these into categories. And so the first category that we are gonna start with is going to be sales and discovery, okay? Sales and discovery. And we're gonna work our way through, I think there's 4 categories. 1, 2, 3, yeah, it's about 4 categories, okay? Sales and discovery. Why don't we do all the categories first? How about that? So after sales and discovery, we're gonna talk about money and billing. After money and billing, we're gonna talk about process. And after process, we're gonna talk about some generalized things. I didn't wanna go crazy with the categories. Some things, by the way, are crossover items. You're gonna notice that it could fit into multiple categories, or it most certainly influences multiple categories and influences other things in other categories. A lot of this stuff is crossover, which shows you the importance of it, okay? But let's start with sales and discovery. So the very first thing, like the number one thing, okay, is needing the sale. Needing the sale. And I understand this is, for a lot of people, is a chicken or an egg sort of thing, where it's like, of course I need the sale. We all want sales. We all want a new project. We all want to get this new client if it's a good client, okay? But if you need them, like you've put yourself in a position, or you found yourself in a position where you need the sale. Like, if I don't get this sale, we're not eating. If I don't get this sale, bad things are gonna happen. Okay, I got bills to pay. I need this sale. What happens in that situation is you are very tempted to take sales that you should not take. Take deals, make deals that you should not make. And what this does is it ends up trapping you in an infinite loop. This is the infinite loop that so many agencies and freelancers and rat race type people find themselves in, because you need it, you're desperate, which means you'll do anything for it, which means you make concessions, you take bad clients, you discount the prices, you do whatever you need to do to get that one. And then, by the way, because you didn't sell that one at the right price, you got to get the next one because you're running out of money. By the time this one's finished, the money's already gone, and you need the next one. And then this cycle never, and then the more this perpetuates, the more desperate you feel. The more you get to the point of, like, I can't say no to the next one. I have to. And so this is just, don't get into that situation in the first place. And if we'll talk about getting out of it. We're going to do some Q&A maybe at the end if we have time. But it's just easiest to not, like, you have to set a mindset of, and by the way, if you want to land more deals, you need to go into deals not as a desperate person, because clients, whether you think or believe it or not, they can smell it, they can feel it. It's just, there's an aura, as the kids say, of desperation. And people don't want to do business with desperate people. Bottom line, they just don't want to. So this is a mindset thing, but it's also a boundaries thing. It's also a discipline thing. What if we sold all projects as if we didn't need a single one of them? And so we go in with full confidence. Take it or leave it, right? And we're able to give the facts, and we're not having to make concessions and discounts and all this other stuff. But we just, if it's a good fit, I want the project, but I don't need it. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna make it work without it. That's kind of the mindset that you need to go in with. Okay. So we'll leave that there. And if you have questions, guys, #Q. We can talk about some of this stuff more at the end. Okay. All right. Here we go. Talking about money like it matters. There's another big one. There's another mindset thing, and another hurdle that you have to get over. The money in most of these projects does not matter. It doesn't matter to the client. Not nearly as much as you think it does, and not nearly as much as they insinuate that it does, okay? It just doesn't. And we've been over this many, many, many times before. But what I will say to kind of sum this one up is, if you notice, the agencies who do the lower the prices go, the more they care about the price, right? And that should tell you, okay, that doesn't really compute. That math doesn't math. You tell the lower the price point goes, the more both of you seem to care about the price. The higher the price goes, you get into agency land at 75K, 100K, 150K, the less people care about the price. Nobody's sweating at those numbers, okay? Because you're working with clients who the money's not that, it doesn't matter to them. And they're looking at value, and they're looking at other things, and they're looking at the cost they spend on all this other shit, okay? The higher the prices go, the less people care. So you can't say like, they care about the price, Kev. No, they don't. No, they don't. No. You're dealing with people who are in a mindset where they care about things they shouldn't actually care about. This is why when people like complain about the price of, Kevin, you'll never sell Etch plugins at $7.99. That's just insanity. Yeah, what do you, the money's irrelevant. The price is irrelevant. If you're taking a core tool, the thing that's going to do the vast majority of the work to facilitate this project, and you're supposedly charging thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars per project, and you can't afford $800. Like you're bitching whining about $800. Like, this doesn't make any sense. We can't buy into this. We cannot allow ourselves to entertain this. It's absolute lunacy. It's absolute lunacy. And what you have to understand is, when you deal with clients, I've told the story before, but being on calls with marketing directors, and they've got a budget sitting on their desk, and that budget could be $85,000. And if you throw out a number like $60,000, sold. They're not even blinking an eye. But in your mind, you're sitting there fucking sweating like, oh, they're never going to say yes to this. You're so concerned with the number. You're talking about it like it really, really matters. And it doesn't matter at all to them. It doesn't matter at all to good clients. Good clients understand value. Good clients understand quality. That's how, by the way, they became good clients. They run good businesses because they care about the right things. And they understand that you have to spend money to make money, and you have to invest in a business, and you have to do things the right way. These are people with appropriate mindsets. The people who care the most about money are business owners who aren't good business owners. They're the people who are also struggling. They're the people who, everything matters to them, okay? That doesn't actually matter. So you just have to defend yourself, okay? Again, a little Krav Maga, little Jiu-Jitsu, okay? You've got to make sure that you don't allow them to pull you into this situation of stress and anxiety about the price. There's no reason to be stressed. There's no reason to be anxious, okay? You know the value, you're gonna price accordingly, and then you're gonna move on. Okay? We're not gonna buy into all this drama. Okay? There's not enough drama there. Okay, underselling the value. Next one. Okay, underselling the value. So on this one, let's see. Okay. Yeah. All right, good. Okay, I'm gonna keep a side eye on the chat if I can. Okay, underselling the value. There's a lot of things that go into this. I don't think we have to get into all of the details, but you do have to understand that the time and place where the person will rightfully object to the price is if you haven't said anything relevant in terms of value. And so I'll just give you some hints. If you are talking about how pretty it's going to be, if you are talking about how modern it's going to feel, if you are talking about how great the development code quality is, if you're talking about, these are things that nobody can, like this client, they can't go pay their bills with these things that you're talking about. You have to talk about things that pay their bills. You have to talk about leads. You have to talk about sales. And you can't just talk about them generically and nebulously and all this. You have to talk about them with specifics. Okay? You have to get into, what do you want this website to do for your business? Here you are. Here's where you want to be. What if I get you there? How much is that worth? Great. And if it's worth, let's say it's worth 6 figures, a year in additional revenue or something, okay? Depending on the size of the business, even if it's not even near that much, just relevant, think relevant to the average price you charge. Because I know a lot of you are charging $2,500, $3,500, somewhere in there. So you're telling me you're gonna build this thing, the central online marketing hub for this company, and it has the potential to put tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars in their pocket, but $2,500 we're sweating, right? The only time they should be sweating is if you haven't made any semblance of connection about the fact that they're gonna get tens of thousands of dollars from this thing, right? So, because if that was a known factor, who in their right mind would object? They wouldn't. They would just, yes, please, more of that. Thank you. Okay. It's the same with like Google Ads. I mean, this takes it down to a basic example. You have a Google Ads, you're trying to run Google Ads, and your clients say, how are we doing? And you say, well, we're doing fantastic. For every dollar you give me, we're getting $5 back. The problem is that you're not giving me enough. And they'll go, here's more. Please keep doing that, right? They're not going to sit around going, well, I don't know. We don't really have it in the budget. It's not. The math doesn't math. If they understand the value, they're going to give you the money, okay? So it's a communication issue. It's a sales issue. That's why this is in sales and discovery, right? Okay? So underselling the value, but it's a big thing. Because I listen to calls all the time where for some reason we're talking about pixels and prettiness and this and that and modernization and all these abstract things that don't actually pay anybody's bills, okay? If you start talking about the things that pay bills and you talk about them with specifics and you talk about them with authority and you talk about them with a game plan and a pathway, and suddenly people get very motivated to give you money. This is a communication and a sales problem, okay? All right, let's do the next one. Pricing, this kind of coincides with this. Pricing on costs or time, not value, okay? I don't know how many people sit around going, well, you know, that new form, it's gonna take me, I don't know, 35, 45 minutes. All right, so hourly rate, 3/4 of that, here's your price, okay? But they're not thinking at all about the value, okay? And then again, we get into project level stuff. Also, when you're talking about value, there is, which rarely ever gets properly calculated in, lost opportunity cost. Lost opportunity cost needs to be communicated in the sales process, especially when you are dealing with you trying to win a project over your competition. And when because one of the things people ask me all the time is, Kevin, how do I justify this higher price? There's no way they're gonna say yes to me when there's 5 other people out there who are giving them quotes at thousands of dollars less. Again, this is a communication and a sales problem. One of the things that I used to educate clients on all the time was, do you know the rate of failed, stalled, disorganized, junk, garbage projects that happen? And this goes again to not needing the sale. Like literally tell them like this, you are absolutely free to go hire any of those people, okay? When you hire us and you go through the whole project, here's the process that we go through with your project. Here are the other projects that we have done successfully. Now, you have to weigh the odds of, yes, we're a little more expensive. You can go with people who are cheaper, right? But I want you to understand how many projects have come to us in a situation where they can't find the dev anymore. The dev completely, the project's just an absolute dumpster fire. And now I have to rescue it. I have to rescue the project, okay? And rescuing the project is not cheap. Rescuing the project, you could have just paid me in the first place. Now you have to pay me to rescue it. All the money you paid initially to that other cheaper agency has been lit on fire, right? And you go through this because this is a known thing. It's not like, yeah, just pick anybody there. It's not a commodity. There's so much skill, so much ability, so much knowledge and experience that goes into these agencies and whoever's running them. It's very common for mediocrity to get published onto the web, as you see on WDD Live every other week. We do these reviews, and it's dumpster fire after dumpster fire after dumpster fire. So think about this. If you are a legitimate business, this is why, by the way, the most legitimate businesses never go with the cheapest option. They never go. Why do they never go? You told me, it's all about price, Kevin. How am I going to sell this? This guy's doing it so much cheap. Well, the best clients never choose the cheap. As a principle, they're like, no, we can't do that. Why? There's too much risk. There's too much risk because it feels like something's wrong. What is off? What is going to happen? What is the reason they're so cheap? You guys know this inherently when you walk onto a car. If you are walking onto a used car lot, hey, I got $10,000. Well, you don't need to spend $10,000. I got a $500 car right over here. It's a BMW. That's great. BMW for $500. Just take that one. You're like, no, I'm not. There's no way in hell I'm giving you $500 for this BMW. Like, I'm looking at a car that looks like it should be $7,500, $10,000, $15,000, whatever. You're asking $500. What are you thinking in your head? What's wrong with it? That's what you're thinking in your head. And that's what good clients think. What's wrong with you? That's what they think. Now, the bad clients will be like, deal, take it, right? The good clients will look at your low price and be like, what's wrong with you? And they won't choose you. So again, we talk about a perpetual cycle of being stuck with bad clients. That might be your price because solely of your price. Kevin, I know my stuff and da-da-da-da-da. And I talk to them doesn't matter how much you impress them. If they're scared because your price is too low, if they're looking at you and their brain is going red flag, why is that so cheap? They're not going to come anywhere near you. Okay? They're not going to be like, yeah, let's give them a shot. Like, no. They're just going to say no and they're going to move on. Okay? And then what are you going to make up? Because you put so much, talk about money, like you put so much weight in the price, you're going to be like, oh, they must have said no because my prices are still too high. I got to go down even further, right? See, it's a perpetual endless cycle of bullshit. That's what it is. All right, let's do the next one. All right, here we go. Let's go. I'm just going to paste them so I don't have to type. Not standardizing your pricing. Now, this is easier on the other things, but it's a little bit tougher on the design side. You need to work with your designers. And you need to get on the same page with, okay, we're not trying to win design awards. We're not trying to be the most creative. And this is going to tie into a couple other things. Because one thing you have to understand is you're going to quote a price and you're going to try to standardize your pricing because there's also a process to all of this stuff, right? And I don't know what the dev costs actually are until I see the design. So I think we can all agree that I can give you homepage A and homepage B. And if I go, simple, streamlined, clean, nothing crazy on homepage A, and then homepage B is balls to the wall, like we're doing, I gotta win a design award or my ego is involved in this design. I gotta make it so fantastic and amazing and nobody's ever seen this stuff before. And we're gonna hijack the scroll. We're gonna animate everything. Come on now. Like, homepage B. That could be 5 times the development cost of homepage A. So for the people who are out there like, well, it's one page. I just charge for this. What do you mean? What do you mean? You haven't seen the page yet. How do you know what it's going to cost? So you do want to standardize your pricing, but you need to get everybody on the same page. So your design team needs to understand we're building for consequences, like real consequences, not fake consequences, okay? So a fake consequence is a design award. Because again, I can't go to the bank and be like, well, I'm short on money, but I did get a design award this month, You can't do that. You have to care about things that pay bills. And your clients care about things or should care about things that pay bills as well. So a clean, modern, responsive, hyper-fast homepage, nothing fancy, but amazing copy and an amazing offer is going to go gangbusters for the bottom line. One that wins design awards and hijacks the scroll and is all fancy and animates everything and therefore has, because we spent all the money on that stuff, has, pedestrian copy and nobody really put much thought into the offer. Like, not gonna win, okay? Not gonna help the bottom line. So you get on the same page with your designer about what matters, what actually matters. Conversions matter, sales matter, money matters, costs matter. We're not, and this is why I've argued endlessly about animations. Until somebody shows me hard analytics that are like, before animations, not doing much. After animations, gangbuster sales. Until somebody shows me that data, I don't give a fuck about an animation, okay? Because all I see is that takes a lot longer to do. And I tend to see, I see the opposite when I look at most analytics, less conversions. I see less performance, less conversions. Why would what are we doing? We're gonna spend extra money. Why? Because somebody wanted to be fancy. But again, I can't go to the bank by, I don't have it this month, but I do have a really fancy designer on the team. Can't do that. Let's care about the things that actually matter. All right. And let's help our clients focus. Hey, Bev, get focused. Okay. All right. The things shooting across the screen, Bev, that doesn't sell you more widgets. Okay. You got to get the client focused sometimes too. They have the same problem. They fall into the same trap. So you got to standardize your pricing, but you have to get everybody on the same page, okay? And we can talk more about standardizing pricing and how to do that in the Q&A. And by the way, all this stuff is in the Inner Circle. There's trainings on all this stuff in the Inner Circle. Price lists, everything that you need. Okay, so let me move the chat here. All right. This kind of ties in as well. You can see how all these things start to tie in with each other. Not getting clear on exactly what the real consequential objectives are, okay? Again, get rid of all the BS and talk about the real stuff that actually matters. And what you're gonna find, I've pointed this out before, many clients don't know what the website is supposed to do or how it is supposed to do it. For example, you ask your client, hey, how much traffic is your website getting? I don't know. Okay, do you have analytics on the site? Well, yeah, we did install analytics, but I just haven't looked at them. And right? They don't know. They have no idea. Explain how your website fits into your broader funnel. How are you driving traffic to the website? How are you planning on converting those people? When they convert, if they don't buy, let's say they get on that newsletter form you have down there. When's the last time you sent a newsletter? Well, my MailChimp skills not so great. They don't fucking know. They don't know. So you have to get very clear, because if they don't know, and then you're like, well, our websites are $15,000 and here's have you ever thought through this before? Try to connect these dots from a client perspective. So we're talking about a website where, let's put myself in the client's shoes for just a second. I haven't looked at the analytics. I don't know where the traffic comes from. I don't have a plan for how we're supposed to get traffic. I don't know how it converts. I don't know what our follow-up process is. To me, because remember, I'm the client who was like, we need a brochure site, and it's been 7 years since we had it. It's a little out of date. So what I got to do is I got to modernize the site. And this is how they're talking to you about their project. They're not going to pay $15,000 for that. They're not going to pay $20,000 for that. They're going to pay $20,000 for something that moves a business needle. But all you've managed to talk about so far, well, yeah, you're right. It is out of date. Yeah, well, we should modernize it. None of that shit matters. You have to get down to the things that actually matter. Hey, tell me, how much money do you want this website to generate for your business? How many new leads per month do you need? How many new sales per month do you need from this website? Let's talk about how to get that. Let's talk about what makes a website successful versus unsuccessful. And now you're in a real conversation. And now you're in a conversation where the client's like, holy shit, I haven't heard this stuff before. I have a new appreciation for what this website might do for my business. I want to hear more. Right? You got to get out of the other types of conversations, because you're never going to sell with them. You're not going to get top dollar for it. Nothing good is going to happen. Okay? All right. We're going to go to this one next. Are we moving quick enough? Do we need less context? Do we need more context? Are we moving too fast? We can't be moving too fast, because I can promise you we're not going to get to the end of the list. If we don't keep moving, we're not going to get to the end of the list. Chasing low budget or red flag clients. This is a discipline thing. The minute you recognize, this client they either don't have the money or they're not willing to spend the money, even though I have completely rationalized why this is a good investment, right? You got to let them go. And this ties immediately back to you can't need the sale. You can't need the sale. You have to say no to these people. Every project that's either red flag, which is going to be headaches, hassles, nightmares, it's going to suck the life out of you. You're going to hate your work. You're going to hate your job. If you jump off a bridge, doesn't help your family much. So red flag clients have to be limited. We have to get them out of our life, and they take up way too much time. And again, they're usually also low budget clients, so they're not even paying your bills all that much. Then the other discipline side, and I think we're more likely to be disciplined in getting rid of red flag clients after we've had a few of them. I think everybody needs to, they tend to ignore that advice until they've had a few. Then they're like, yeah, I should probably do that. I'm getting real close to the bridge. I should probably not take those anymore. But there is another classification that you have to be disciplined against that is much more difficult for people to be disciplined against. And that is that business owner that comes to you and they're telling you all these lofty goals that they have about their business and how much help they need. And they're admitting to you, I just don't know this stuff. I just don't know online marketing. I just don't know what the website is supposed to do and how it's supposed to do it. I'm really needing the guidance but I just don't have that much money. And now you are putting your .org hat on. So you're going from, I did buy a .com, but I could just be a .org for this project, And now you're trying to charity these people. I can help you out. Don't worry. I got, and you're needing the sale. You're kind of needing the sale. And you're just recognizing that, they don't have the money, but, I could use a little money. I mean, that would pay the car payment this month. You're starting to rationalize why you should work with it, and you're feeling good about it. You're like, this is a moral thing. Without me, this person's lost, probably bankrupt. Their kids are probably on the streets. The way people think about this stuff is so crazy. It's so wild. It's outlandish. Just delete these, delete this. If you want to actually survive, okay, and you want to prosper, delete that. I promise you, they're not going hungry, okay? They're not going to be... I know you feel like you say no, and then you walk out your house tomorrow, and they're on the fucking curb. I get it. You think that in your head. That's not going to happen. It's not. I promise. It's not going to happen. It's not that serious, okay? You have to be disciplined and say no to both of these, okay? All right, let's keep going. This one kind of fits in the stuff that we've already talked about, so I don't think we need to expand on it too much, okay? This one I alluded to just a second ago. But we need to be able to communicate this stuff. Selling a piece of the funnel without showing exactly how it connects to the other pieces, okay? So if you're like, hey, here's this piece of the puzzle, and they're looking at it, and they're like, all right, those do look like puzzle pieces, but they can't see the picture that we're trying to create, right? They're not gonna find much value in those pieces, okay? A website is, and this is just modern era, this is like modern era stuff. A website is the central marketing hub on the internet for a business, but it is not the only piece. There are lots of pieces. For example, all of your social channels. You can think of this like a solar system, So you got your main planet, and then you've got these other planets surrounding them, perhaps. Like a Facebook is floating up there, and a LinkedIn is floating up there, and a YouTube is floating up there. And then you have connections, and then once connections are made, what kind of interactions need to take place? Like, for example, how are we gonna get, let's say, Kevin, we got this YouTube channel, but it's not really doing anything. It's got numbers there, but we're not getting conversions from it. We're getting the views, we're getting the comments, we're getting the likes, but it's not really driving anything on the bottom line. And you're talking about, well, we got to build this new website. And they're thinking yeah, but I'm not seeing how these things talk to, what are we going to do? What's the plan for getting people off of there to here? And then when they get here, how are we going to capture them? They don't have any plans in place for any of this. And if they don't, they can't say, well, yeah, we'll take the $25,000 piece, but we're not sure how the puzzle's going to fit together. But we will take the $25,000. They're never going to buy that expensive piece if they don't understand how it's gonna fit into everything else that's happening, okay? Which you have to come in and paint a picture. And this is part of discovery, but this is part of just being savvy. And in the sales conversations, like, what else are you guys doing online? Oh, well, we got this YouTube channel. Oh, how's that YouTube channel doing? Let me pull it up. You pull it up. Oh my God, 75,000 subscribers. Oh, you guys have some good views and some good comments. Is this driving growth to your services or your products? Well, no, it's actually not. That's something we should definitely talk about. And yeah, let me actually go back to your current website. I'm noticing, yeah, there is nothing for those people. Like, there's no way to get them here. And when they arrive, there's nothing for them to do here that's relevant to the content that you're putting out over there. Let's put a plan together for this. And now you're showing them how these pieces fit together. Another example would be, well, Kevin, yeah, we're getting lots of traffic. It's just they're not buying. They're not buying, Kevin. Okay, I go to their website and they go, well, this thing that you're selling is not really a, one and done kind of deal. It's not like a show up, read some copy, buy it kind of deal. It's one of those products or services where it takes some time. It takes some nurturing. It takes some thought. So I also notice you're not capturing any top of the funnel or middle of the funnel traffic. You're just trying to make a sale. So you get somebody to arrive and buy a product that they're very unlikely to buy on the first visit. We have to capture them some other way and then sell them the product later. Okay, so here's how we're gonna do that. And you're putting these pieces together for them. And now and if this makes sense in their head, you're like, you're right. Yeah, we're not building any sort of list. We're not giving any other sort of top or middle funnel offer. Now I can see why this has been failing. And if I can see why it's been failing and how these pieces are supposed to fit together, and I'm the guy going, I put these puzzles together all the time. Okay, let me do that for you. They're gonna be like, yes, thank you. Yes, how much is that gonna cost? And then if the money makes sense to the value, because this guy's selling $10,000 widgets and he's not selling any right now, but if we can put these pieces together, he's selling, bang, widget sale, widget sale, widget sale, widget sale. Do you think he's gonna complain about the price that I give him? If the value is way more than the price, obviously, no, okay? So this is how it all works. But if you never talk about this stuff, because again, web designers, what do they get on the call, ring, ring. Oh, let's talk about design. Let's talk about how it's gonna feel. Let's talk about all this shit that doesn't matter, okay? All right, here's a big actionable one right here. You have to stop doing this. Dropping the price instead of dropping deliverables. Now, let's go back up here. I feel like low budget Larry, okay? Low budget Larry is a great guy. I just love him so much. We've had this great conversation. We feel like brothers. I want to invite him to the cookout. I just love everything about Larry. The problem with Larry is he doesn't have a lot of money. And it's okay that he doesn't have a lot of money because he's a startup business, right? We can make all these excuses that we always make. He's a startup business and, he just needs somebody to help him. And I bet, he's got a great attitude. He's got a great product. I really think with the right help, he could really make it happen, okay? Well, what we're not gonna do is we're not gonna lower the price for Larry. That's what we're not gonna do. Now, what we might do in order to make the price come down is lower the deliverables. And we're gonna find a smaller starting point where we can, okay, Larry, here's what we're gonna do. Instead of building a 10-page website for you right out of the gate, with all this stuff going gangbusters and PPC and all this other stuff, right? Facebook ads, whatever it is that we could be doing, we're gonna build a landing page for you. And we're gonna take one specific channel, we're gonna put our time and attention in that one specific channel, driving traffic to this one specific landing page with this one specific offer, and I can put that together for you for way less than a generalized 12-page, 10-page website, whatever it happens to be, that are showcasing all your products and services. Okay, let's just get some positive momentum and ROI. And here's the price, it's way less. And he goes, okay, that sounds like a plan because I don't have the money for the big thing, okay? And you start out and you just work small with him and you actually prove that you can get him results and you build it up from there, okay? And now suddenly, he's got some ROI and he's motivated to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. If that's how you want to work with these kind of people, that's how you work with them. But you never go, well, yeah, you could have all the same deliverables. I'm just going to knock $1,000 off. Like, no, we're not. You can't do that. You can't do that. Okay. Discipline. Don't drop the price, drop the deliverables, reduce what you're providing and that will make the price come down, and then see if that's a good option. Okay, next one, not creating a statement of work. Let's see. Let's see. Now there's a new, okay, yes, there is low budget Larry. All right, let's go to Muhammad here. Let's see. And also one thing I noticed, the low paying client and the ones that always try to get a discount are the most demanding. Yeah, dude, 100%, 100%. I stopped doing mom and pop shops due to this for the most part. Yeah, 100%. Okay. All right, good. And some people talking about animations. All right, not creating a statement of work. This is very, very simple. You cannot just give them a proposal that has a price and a generalized concept of what they're going to get. Because here's what always happens. You're into the project, however, whatever percent it may be. And actually, this will probably happen at multiple points during the project. Well, we need this. That wasn't in what we quoted you. Well, I thought we talked about it. Didn't we talk about it remember that conversation we had? And you're like, no, we didn't really talk about it. And this is like a constant just back and forth bickering of like, and then you feel bad and you're like, well, I don't want him to get upset. I don't want a bad review. I don't want to pull the project and go somewhere else. You start making all these excuses and you become the bitch. Okay, and you start going, we just got to do it for him. We just got to do it for him. We just got to do it for him. The gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger the longer the project goes on. The statement of work is crystal clear communication. It's literally a bulleted list of this is what you're going to get, this, everything. Contact page, contact form. Literally every single wireframe for the homepage, wireframe for the about page, wireframe for this page, wireframe for that page. UI for this page, UI for this page, UI for this page, dev for this page, dev for this page, this form, that form, this form, that form. And it just, analytics, literally everything that you are going to provide, okay? Now, a couple of things are gonna happen. You create your first statement of work. Usually this, if you've never created one before, you're gonna create one and you're gonna look at it and go, I'm charging what? What for this list? What I'm charging what for this list? Because now you're looking at your $1,500 that you sent them, and you're looking at this list like, that doesn't really add up, does it? I might be undercharging. So one thing it gives you is a lot of clarity, which is great. It's fantastic. Because now you know, hey, I can't do all that. I can't do all that for this, okay? You start to realize how much it doesn't make sense, what you've been doing. Number two, it's literally like if the client's ever like, oh, you remember we talked about, no, we didn't talk about it because it ain't on here. And that appears to be your signature, right? So you said, this is what you're gonna get. I said, this is what you're gonna get. Put those two things together, that's what you're gonna get, okay? And if they, now, we can, did I put a follow-up here? Yeah, right here, okay? We'll just add this one next. A little out of order, okay? I made this over a cup of coffee. What do you expect? It's free, okay? This is what you get for free. All right, so not having a plan for scope creep. It's so simple. There is a change order form. You can look them up online. You can develop your own, whatever. And it's a very, but you have to be disciplined, but it's very simple, okay? They go, we need this. We didn't realize it. Or we need this. Remember how we talked about it and you said we'd do it, but it's not on the statement of work? Okay, if it's not on the statement of work, you give them the change order form. Change order form says, here's the change order for something that is not on the statement of work. Here's how much extra it costs. And then they have to sign it and be like, yep, I'll take that extra cost, okay? That's it. And just be disciplined to that. No more scope creep. No more, we just gotta do it for them. None of that. It's just, we gave you a statement of work for a reason. It's the thing you signed off on. It had all the deliverables on it. If that deliverable is not listed on that statement of work, it goes to a change order. That's it, plain and simple, okay? And you don't have to have a lot of feelings in it. All right, let's do, which one did we skip? Here we go. So this is another one you're gonna realize, right? When you create your first SOW. The reason you're underpriced is because you're doing, again, you are half.com and half.org. You have been doing so much charity work, it's not even funny, right? You look at it and go, God, look at all these things. I don't think we ever charged for any of that stuff. We just baked it into the price, right? And you realize how much you're actually doing. And then if you sat down and you put a dollar amount, it doesn't matter how you calculate it, just put a dollar amount next to every one of those deliverables, and I guarantee the price is gonna be higher than the price you quoted them, okay? So that's an obvious like identification of this price that we're putting out here doesn't make any sense. All you have to do to fix it is look at your actual process. Here's the process I go through, okay? And I gotta put another one of these. I think I had it in maybe a different part. Not creating a statement of work, not charging for every step in the process, okay? We did that one. All right, I think it's in another part we'll get to, okay? But okay, yeah, it is, it's in process, And this goes back to my Process is Everything masterclass, where in order to do the project properly, and this is gonna piss a lot of people off, but in order to do the project properly, there are certain deliverables that have to be delivered, okay? And if you're not delivering those, number one, you're probably not doing it properly, but also two, you're not getting the money for it. You should be getting the money for that, which makes the project a higher dollar amount. So if you're like, Kevin, how would I possibly raise my price? I feel good with the price that I'm, delivering. And I look at their deliverables, I'm like, but you're not delivering half the shit you're supposed to deliver. And if you were, the price would be higher and you'd be making more money and your clients would be happier and your projects would probably be more successful. And okay, so we're gonna get to that when we get to the process section. But you have to charge for every step of the process and you have to make sure that all the necessary pieces of the process are there. Okay, let's do the next one. Not selling at least one retainer-based or sprint-based marketing service. The days of I am a web design agency or I am a web developer freelancer are over, okay? You are commoditizing yourself. You are not what the client actually needs, because we just talked about how does the modern web work? The modern web works with a central hub, a bunch of satellites, figuring out how to get the people from the satellites, whether that be Facebook or YouTube or Google or AI or whatever it happens to be. How do we get them from there to here? How do we get them to convert at different levels? And what do we do with them after they convert? Like these people, we're gonna go into a follow-up sequence. These people, we're gonna go into a nurture sequence. These people how are we gonna segment these people? How are we gonna talk to these people? How are we gonna design these pages for each type of person? How are we gonna, you see, you got a lot of pieces to put together. Here you come along. Now that's the problem. The problem is all that shit has to be figured out. You come along and go, I can write some HTML. I can Elementor some things for you, okay? Well, what else can you do, Jack? Not much beyond that. I can click. I do sliders. I do color pickers. I do those kinds of things. Well, Jack, we don't need you that much, okay? Like the client, that's the person that the client's gonna hire to put in charge of this complex situation that a real business faces. No, we don't need you, okay? We don't need you. If you want to actually be like the agency they choose, and really there's no concept of a freelancer. I don't know why I've kept like entertaining this concept. You need to be an agency. You need to operate like an agency. You need to add a few more people to your team. You don't have to go crazy. It doesn't have to be some gigantic corporation or anything, but you can't do it all alone. You can't be the single point of failure. You can't be the single point of trust. You can't, it's not a good recipe, okay? So let's just talk agencies. Let's just talk agency, right? So if you want to win the project as an agency, you have to be able to come in and explain exactly how these pieces are going to fit together. Now, the main thing you can do, it doesn't mean you should be running their Facebook and running their YouTube and doing this, but you need to understand how those things are all going to connect into this picture and work together. And then you do need to master one of them. And I don't actually care which one it is. I would say probably not social media. Don't touch that with a 10-foot pole. But an example of a very manageable one. And it's really solving the problem of if we build it, nobody will come. Okay, let's just get that. So if nothing's happening outside of this website and I build a website, nobody will visit it. Nobody will visit it. I still get people to this day, Kevin, we need a website. Why do you need a website? Well, we got to have an online presence. Why do you need an online presence? Well, so people will come. Where are they gonna come from? Well, Kevin, they're gonna probably. We got Facebook. How many Facebook views do you get? You just start asking questions, and the whole plan falls apart. Everything falls apart. They have no idea. And then you explain to them, okay, very simple. We're gonna build it. It's going to be one of 8 gazillion websites. Okay. Now, we have to have a plan for how to take the right people and get them to land on that site. There is one thing we can do out of many, right? Maybe PPC. Maybe I decide to master PPC, and I probably wouldn't do PPC because AI is shredding the PPC market. But it used to be like PPC. It's a good example. So PPC, hey, all we have to do, we're gonna put the campaigns together. You're gonna set a budget. Okay, we are going to drive verifiable traffic to this website, the kind of traffic that's been searching for the things that you offer. And then we're gonna see how that page converts. And we're gonna get them to convert like this. We're gonna give them this offer. We're gonna, after they put in their name and their email, we're gonna do X, Y, Z, okay? And you're gonna show them how all of this leads to a sale and put it together for them. That's what they need. They need a consultant. They don't need somebody to push Elementor pixels around the screen. They need somebody to put these pieces together, put all this in place, get it all working, and get the ROI and get the results so they can move on with their damn life. And probably, hopefully, give you more money to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. That's what they need, okay? So if all you are, hey, we just do web design, that's all we do. And then, because let's say that is you, okay? What you're forcing the client to do is to choose you and then go choose a marketing agency that's gonna do the other stuff. And then you know what the situation is gonna be. That marketing agency is gonna go, well, we like to have control of the websites. Well, guess what, Jack? Because you allowed them or really encouraged them to go hire somebody else, you're out of a fucking job. Because that marketing agency is gonna come in and be like, we need to control the website. So why are you here? Like, we know how to make this website work. What are you doing here? So you got the client only to be fired by the client a couple months later. None of that makes any sense. You have to provide the full scope of something that functions. It would be like if you're like, yeah, I'm in the auto industry. Well, what do you do? Well, I sell the shell, and then I just tell them, yeah, just go find an engine. And yeah, is that working out well for you, bub? No, actually, it turns out, they used to want the shell a long time ago. They were okay with that, but they don't want that anymore, right? This is the situation that you find. You have to evolve. We're not in that era anymore. We're not in the era of people just looking for web designers. It's because if you think back in the old days, it used to be, yeah, get an online presence, right? And nobody else knew what SEO was, and you could get it to rank pretty easily. And like, all those days are gone. It's so long gone, it's not even funny. So a lot of us living in the past. Got to get out of the past. Okay, let's see. What was the next one? We got that one. How about this? Not selling a management plan. That's your first retainer-based service that doesn't have anything to do with marketing, but you need to establish that this website requires ongoing management and not maintenance. I'm not saying maintenance, okay? Maintenance is a very small part of what management looks like. Management, in my estimation, should include analytics, should include review of the analytics, should include regular calls with the client about the analytics. Hey, here's where your traffic's coming from this month. Hey, here's your conversion rates on these pages. Hey, we noticed this page over. And you know why you should be doing this? By the way, you get paid to do this. You sell them a management plan, you get paid to sell them more things because you get on these calls and you go, here are the opportunities we are missing, okay? This page probably needs new copy. Conversion rate, awful. We're getting great traffic to it. They're doing nothing. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, it doesn't read all that well. Doesn't really, entice me to buy. I think we need to get some copy going on this page. I'd like to test new copy. How much is the new copy gonna be? Okay, it's gonna be this much. Okay, let's test it out. Put the new copy. Hey, look, conversion rates increase. Okay, I'm looking over here at this landing page, not doing much. We need to drive more traffic to that landing page. We don't have any PPC campaigns running for this landing. Let's get, right? They need somebody to manage the website and get all of these opportunities accounted for. That's how a website should be run in the modern era. Now you're gonna tell me, oh, Kevin, my clients don't need that, Kevin. They just wanted a brochure website. Yeah, okay, but walk me through this. You're gonna build a really successful company that you're proud of on the strategy of building brochure sites that don't really do much and don't have much consequence to the person that you built them for. And that's gonna make you feel great about like what, and how are you gonna get more business from that? How are you going to grow with those people? Like they've established, Kevin, we don't really have a future online, okay? We just want a presence. But we don't really want a future, okay? And you're like, well, okay, let's go. Like, no, that's not the kind of people that you build an agency around. You need to find the clients who are like, Kevin, we want to crush it online. Kevin, we want to dominate our competition online. Kevin, we're number 5 or 6 on Google. We want to be number 1. We want, and now you have somebody that's like, okay, all right, let's get to work. And leave, by the way, this goes back to being not the pixel pusher, right? Being the consultant. Leave the brochure websites to well, I do Elementor sliders and clickers and that's what I do. And leave the brochures to those people, okay? Let them make the crumbs, let them have no future. You focus on actual skills that pay bills, and then you find the clients who appreciate that and who are willing to pay for it, and you do work with them. And your agency is going to go up and up and up and up and up, and the little brochure agency is gonna stay broke and struggling forever, okay? You pick your path. This is a pick your path, pick your journey kind of situation. All right, not selling at least one. Okay, we got that one. All right, this one is boring, but I'll throw it in there. You got to have a master service agreement, okay? It goes over all the stipulations of, hey, what happens if you don't pay? What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens, right? You can find them. You can find copies. You can hire a lawyer. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm not a lawyer. Don't listen to me about it. Just have one. Have one, okay? Get every single client to sign it. Okay, let's get into money and billing. All right, let's take a quick chat break. Are we doing okay? How are we doing on time? Absolutely terrible. Getting worried that we're not going to make it through. Let's see here. All right. I want so much animation. I get motion sickness. Yes. Sometimes it feels like that. Okay. Let's see. Yep. This is a good tip. Break down the SOW into segments for sure. By the way, I didn't mention when a client looks at the SOW, they're going to go, oh, this is why it's expensive, right? You just talk about all these things that go into a website, but you don't list specifics. And then you're over here slaving away, delivering things that you didn't even account for in the price. And your client's actually not going, I bet Jim is really busting his ass right now. I mean, he's probably just doing so many things that he didn't even charge for. No, that's not what the client's thinking. The client's still over there going, why the fuck does this thing cost so much? I saw a Wix commercial where they said anybody could do this. Why am I paying Jim $7,500? Like, they don't know what you're doing. They have no idea. But you give them a statement of work that's got 78 deliverables on it. Well, now they got 78 reasons to pay $7,500, okay? So it gives the client clarity as well. All right, let's see. Okay, let's go into money and billing. Not knowing your personal hourly worth. Now, this is not so you can calculate your prices. This is so that you can look at a price and go, that feels low. That feels like that's not going to work for me, right? So how do you know your personal hourly worth? Well, I used to have a calculator for this. I don't know where it went, okay? I've redesigned my website 17 times, and I'm busy, okay? I have a lot of things going on. So I can't keep up with calculators that I created like years ago. But here, I'll kind of explain the concepts here so that you can do, even if you're rough with it and you ballpark it, it's still gonna be way better, okay? It's still gonna be way better for you. So first things first is if you were gonna calculate how many hours you can work in a day, right? It wouldn't be good to calculate your rate based on a number like 10. I would suggest not using a number like 8. I would suggest using a number like, what are your productive hours per day? Maybe 6, maybe something like 6. So that's where we're gonna start off, 6. Now you ask yourself something like, how many days in a year could I potentially work, or how many weeks in a year am I really available? Do I want to work? Well, first of all, delete all the weekends, okay? So Saturday and Sunday, delete, right? We're not gonna account for those, not working those days, okay? Then you're gonna just take out the holidays. Let's take out the holidays. Then take out vacation. How much vacation do you want? This is you getting to choose how your life operates, okay? Do you want 1 week of vacation? You're your own boss. Remember, didn't you say that? Hey, Kevin, I want to start my own business so I can be my own boss. Well, here you are. You're your own boss. What is your benefits package supposed to look like? Quit selling yourself short. Why is your rate calculated off 1 week of vacation? Give yourself 4 weeks of vacation, okay? So instead of basing it off 52 weeks in the year, base it off 48, okay? So we're starting to get these numbers to be much more realistic, right? Now, you take a look at not your expenses, okay? Not because you might be broke right now. I don't know. You got shitty low expenses, whatever. What is your ideal level of expenses? What is your ideal income going to be? Like if you said, Kevin, I would be like, I wouldn't have to worry, right? I would be able to do my groceries, my bills, and no stress. I wouldn't have to worry, right? And I could actually do some other things, like I could take a vacation every once in a while, okay? Like life would be pretty good at this number right here. So you take that number, okay? And you're not gonna do anything with it yet. You're not gonna do all the division of the weeks and the days and the hours. You're not gonna do that. You're gonna take that number and then you're gonna add anywhere between 20% and 40% to it. And what that is gonna be for is an automatic amount for things like just investing, for like building wealth, okay? And I'm not gonna say how you should invest it, but you need the money there. Because if you don't have the money, it doesn't matter because you can't invest it anyway. So you need to account for having the money. So you're gonna build in the investment amount, and now you have a total. And now you can start doing the division of weeks and hours and things like that, and you're gonna get to a rate. And your rate is going to be scarily higher than the rate that you might tell a client, oh, well, $60 an hour is what I can do for you, Jim. No, you're not gonna be anywhere near 60. And you're gonna start to realize that, okay, that future that I sat there with my eyes closed, envisioning myself at a beach, on a beach, or near my pool, or in my nicer car, or with a cart full of groceries, or whatever it happened to be. That is not going to come to fruition at this price right here, okay? And you just will come to the conclusion, I can't do that, because if I do that, I can't have that, right? And so now you're having a much more realistic view of what your number needs to be. So that is your personal hourly worth that you get to choose. That's not your human worth, okay? Don't like misunderstand the picture. This is not a moral equation, right? This is just literal economic. What do you want your economic worth to be? And then can you produce value of that variety? Okay, now let me do the next one. Knowing your agency hourly worth. If you need to kind of calculate this separately from your personal hourly worth. Now keep in mind, agencies scale. Okay, so they're not necessarily gonna equate to each other, but you kind of use the same approach where you're thinking about, okay, if I'm gonna be hiring people, what are they gonna cost me, and what other costs are gonna go into this, and then you add things in like, you're gonna need money for like getting more business. Like that's called like marketing. You have to have money to invest in marketing to get more business. Did that ever get calculated into your rate, or were you just gonna, come up with an agency rate and that was just gonna be a cost? I don't want that to be a cost. I want client A to pay for me to market to client B. That's not a cost to me. What are we talking about here, right? That you get to choose how the equation equates. So this is just how you need to think about these numbers, because again, everybody's underselling themselves. And I ask the agency all the time, well, why aren't you running paid ads? Oh, we don't have the money for that yet. We're trying to work our way there, but yeah. Well, you don't have the money for it yet because you didn't account for it in the first place. But you decided to create a business that needs marketing to continue to survive, but you didn't. That is like a known thing. It wasn't a surprise, so you have to account for it. You have to account for all the things, okay? So can't get into all the details on it, but you got to think about the numbers differently. This one's an easy one, kind of easy. Accounting for profit last. Very simple. You go to Amazon right now. You go to Amazon.com. You type in profit first. A book is going to come up. It's called Profit First. You're going to add it to your cart. You're going to buy it. You're going to read it. You're going to implement the system, okay? All it is a shift in mindset with a shift in accounting, okay? Where you have money that comes in to like a revenue account. Let's say it's $10,000, right? You decide, all of this is choose your own journey, okay? Choose your own journey. What do you want your profit to be? Now, most of you don't think you can ask a question like that. Well, Kevin, Kevin, I went to business school, Kevin, and in business school, they tell you that you take your revenue and you get your costs out of there, and then whatever is left over at the end of the day, that's your profit. Well, that's not how business should work. In a good, healthy business, you choose the profit, okay? Now, you're responsible for making the numbers work when you choose the profit. But let's say that you choose 15% profitability. Say, we're gonna 15% of what we make is going to be pure profit, okay? Let's just say that. So then you have a revenue number and you immediately take the profit out, okay? What you have left has to contain your expenses. Your expenses have to fit into what you have left to make this equation work, right? What that naturally does is it naturally controls costs. It naturally makes you think realistic about your prices. Because now you're saying, well, I can't pay my expenses. It's not because you have too much profit. It's because your prices aren't high. You don't have enough revenue. So this makes it very clear. Because again, the business, we're not allowing the business to operate without profit. We're just not allowing that. So we're taking the profit first. Now you have to make the business work with what's left. So what is it? Is it a revenue problem? Is it an expense problem? It is not a profit problem, and we're not taking from profit. Figure out the revenue problem and fix it, or figure out the expense problem and fix it. Done deal, okay? And then you have a healthy business. What people often do is they go, well, we're not getting enough revenue, so we're gonna cut expenses, right? Well, we can't cut expenses because we need the expenses to operate the, you get into all of these scenarios that don't actually get to the root of the problem. They're just Band-Aids. They're just temporary fixes. They're like putting a thumb in a hole in the leak in the boat, right? You got to get out of that mode. When you take the profit first, you have no choice but to fix the other two things, okay? It's just read the book. How about that? Read the book, implement the thing, and you're good to go. All right, here's a good one. Very actionable. Stop doing this. Just stop today. Just stop today. Milestone payments. I had a whole article on this. Go to Geary.co, go to the blog. Search for milestone payments. You don't want to be on milestone payments. You do not want to be on milestone payments. You have two options, okay? You can do a flexible payment schedule, or you can do a prepay schedule. So they pay all of it up front, right? You might give them a little discount for that, okay? Reward for having max trust, okay? And they'll do that. And then you have no billing issues whatsoever. You have all of the money. All you have to do now is deliver, okay? That is one option. FlexPay is the other option. There is no universe where you should say, well, and this is what people do, okay? And I build this as like common mistakes, but there's also just common behaviors. And a lot of people will try to argue with me that it's not a mistake. It's just a common behavior. But common behaviors make common agencies, and unfortunately, common agencies are all broke, okay? So you can't do the things that common agencies do. So here's what a milestone payment looks like if you're not on the same page. You go, all right, we want 25% up front, and then we want 50% at the halfway mark, and then we want the last 25% when we launch, something like that, whatever, okay? Terrible idea, absolutely terrible idea. And if I scroll back up here, and we go to the low budget people. Where were they? Right here? These people, right? Well, these people are very low budget because they're broke, okay? And what happens is they do pay you a deposit. They can scrape that up. They pay you the deposit. Then you do the work, and then you get to the point where, hey, Fred. Oh wait, was it Larry? Larry. Low budget Larry, okay? Larry, we are at the 50% mark officially now. It's time for that other payment. And Larry is either nowhere to fucking be found, right? Or Larry, because you also don't have an SOW, is like, hey, we really at 50%? I don't know. I asked for these things and I don't see them done. So now you're in this conversation. You see how all these things tie together, okay? When you're undisciplined, when you make these common mistakes or common behaviors or whatever we want to call them, right? And so what ends up happening is Larry just doesn't want to give you the other part of the money yet. And so you got to go, shit. Because, I'm sorry, let me scroll up. You really needed that sale, which means you really needed that money. And now you and Larry aren't so tight, okay? Maybe Larry's not coming to the barbecue after all. That's the problem that you run into with all of these things. Like, they will come back to haunt you, okay? With milestone payments, you put all the control into the hands of the client because they get to control when that money comes, even if they owe it to you. You're not in control. You got to ask them. You got to beg them. You got to chase them. Now, you thought you were what could the Elementor person's name be? What could the Elementor person's name be? Let me go back to Figma here. Elementor Elizabeth. I don't know. That doesn't ring. That's not good enough. We'll have to think about it. Okay. I don't even know what I was getting at with that. We'll move on. I do need a name for that, though. I do need a name for that. Okay. That was gonna be a longer tangent. We can't invest that kind of time. All right. We did offering milestone payments. Okay. Fixed payment schedule. I'll just explain fixed payment schedule real quick. It's very easy. Let's say you have $9,000 is the project price. Let's just throw a number out there. Make it nice and even, $9,000. Here's how we can do this. We can go 3 payments of $3,000. That's 3 monthly payments of $3,000. Or you can pay me the $9,000 up front and I'll give you a 10% discount on it. You pay in full, okay? So you have flex pay. You could also, if you wanted to, now keep in mind the life of the dev life cycle of that project could be 2 months, 3 months, whatever, okay? So that kind of aligns with 3 monthly payments. It's just kind of naturally aligns. But there's no conversation of, well, when we're 50% or when this is deliverable or when this thing happens. No. It's just monthly payments, boom, boom, boom. You pay us on time, we deliver on time. That's it. Shake hands, done deal, okay? Now, so milestone payments, fixed payment schedule. The other thing I was going to say, 6 months, if you wanted to. Now, this does introduce some risk to you because you're saying, okay, or you can make 6 payments of whatever that happens to be. I went to public school, so I'm not going to try to do the math on the fly. Whatever that equates to at 6 months, 6 payments of XYZ. That makes it more affordable. That makes it more likely for them to say yes, and you're working with them or whatever. You didn't discount. You didn't even have to drop deliverables. You just kind of extended the runway out a little bit. Now, that does have some risk because you're going to deliver a completed project in 3 months, and they're still going to have payments to make beyond that 3 months. Now, it's good for you in a way if they continue to make them because that's cash flow. This is really healthy cash flow. You get a bunch of clients, right, who are all paying this, fixed monthly fee to you. That's really good. And it's not website as a service. Don't get it confused. Okay? It's just taking the project amount that they owe and going over 3 months or 6 months. I would not go beyond 6 months. Okay? What I would do though, and what I've commonly done in the past, it's hard to do this quick. I want to get to them all. And we're going to stay a little longer. I want to get to them all. So I don't want to do a part two. You add 10%. Okay, so if we took away 10% for prepay and the 3Pay is just the normal price, it's 10% extra if you want to go the 6Pay route. Okay, so I make a little money because there's a little extra risk. Oh, that's what I was going to say about Elementor Elizabeth or whatever her name is. She thought she was an Elementor dev. She thought she was going to be clicking cute little buttons and assembling this website. But what she turned into is an accounts receivable person. Because now she's on the phone. This is you, by the way. She's on the phone constantly. Hey, Larry, you got that money for me, Larry? Or send in more emails. Well, Larry, this is the 3rd email I've sent you. I thought you were building websites. I didn't know you were an accounts receivable person. This is what happens when you do milestone payments. You got to chase people down. You got to constantly update them, constantly beg them for the next amount of money. Constantly use fear. Hey, we can't. You're not going to pay. I can't keep working on it. And now you guys are not cool anymore, right? Just avoid all this. It's so simple. You pay me 1 payment every month or 1 payment up front. I will deliver you the website that we promised to deliver you. And since we're professionals, we deliver, right? And since you're supposedly a really good client, you pay. Hey, we don't have to do any other games. There does not have to be any games. All right, let's go to... Oh, here's a good one right here. Not auto billing the payment schedule, okay? So let's add a layer. We're not going to say you owe me $3,000 a month for 3 months. That's $9,000. And then just say, like, what? Cross our fingers? Like, what do we? No. We get a card. We put it on file. We auto bill the payment. And if they object to that, whoa, I don't know if we want to do, well, okay, we're not going to go forward until we can agree on this. Because again, I don't run an accounts receivable department. That's not what I do. I shake hands and I do what I said I was going to do. And you do what you said. Now, I'm not going to like cross my fingers here. I'm doing all the work, right? All the risk is on me. I could get a lot done this month, right? And then no payment shows up. Wow, that doesn't really work for me, okay? So I just at least want a little bit of insurance, right? In the form of you sign the auto pay agreement, okay? And so we say 3 monthly payments, they're just gonna come out. And if they're really, really hyper objecting, it's almost certainly because they're worried about where the money's gonna come from. And then that in itself is kind of a red flag. And you circle back to wherever I talked about up here, red flag clients, okay? All right, so let's go to the next one. Okay, actually that's the end of that one. Great, fantastic. Let's go into process. Okay, here's a good one. You could fix this today. Like some of these, you could fix them today. Let's pause just real quick and ask. Raise your hand, okay? Or just say me. And you don't have to tell me which one. You don't have to tell me, but just say me if you've done any of the common things or common mistakes that we've talked about so far. Just say me. You don't have to say which one. You don't have to say all of them, Kevin, because some people are all of them, okay? I've seen agencies that it's like, damn, you're just racking these up, okay? Doesn't have to be all of them, but just say me if you've recognized any of them, because you can, some of these are just like immediately fixable. You can just, oh, that one, knock it off. Let's stop doing that. Let's stop doing, oh, there's another one. Let's stop doing that. This is immediately fixable, okay? You've got to use a project management system and you have to force everything through it, including all client communication. Dude, here, I can't tell you how much. You're on the phone. I texted this client. I'm on GroupMe with this client. I'm in this client's Slack. I'm in this over here. Half of them are in email. Let me just tell you what's going to happen. And you fucking know this is going to happen. You know this has happened. You know this always happens. But for some reason, you haven't been disciplined enough to fix it. You know the statement of work conversation where, whoa, remember we talked about that? And you said, well, the statement of work does protect you a little bit. But there's a lot of stuff that gets talked about during projects and a lot of stuff that might slip through cracks. And you don't know where any of that communication is. Like, oh shit, my phone, I deleted the text messages. I don't have the whole client communication that I was, with Larry. It's all gone, right? Or you just miss something. You just drop balls because you're damn all over the place with your client communication, right? You can't keep up with all these channels. Not only, it's not fun. It's not fun. You won't catch me dead in a Slack channel. You won't catch me dead. It's some long lost corporation Slack channel. They're like, well, we told you on Slack. Sorry, Bob, I don't do business in Slack, right? You set up a project management system and everything goes into the project management system. And if that client wants to send you a message, make a note, have you do X, Y, Z, that all has to happen in the project management system. They send you a text at 7 p.m., I text right back, hey, I'm not seeing this in the project management system. Send. They send you an email. It's a long diatribe email of all these things we want. Hey, I'm a little confused. I'm not seeing this in the project management system. Send, okay? That's all you have to do. You force them, and now, whenever there's a discrepancy, an issue, a drop ball or whatever, you have an entire accounting of all the conversations, all the communication. You don't have to, oh, was that on Slack? Oh, where was that? Oh, shit, it's not in there. Oh, is it my text messages? Nope. And the bigger the teams get, this is more and more and more important because the problem scales. And so the sooner you get this under control, the better off everything is going to be. All right, not onboarding your client properly. By the way, you have everything in a client management system where they can see everything that you're working on. When they log into the client management system, and let's just talk about this for a second. Stop in your tracks, dead in your tracks. What is that software, ClickUp or whatever? Or there's all these things. Monday. Like, do not just take my word for this, please. Do not choose project management software because, Kevin, it's infinitely flexible. Kevin, no, like Notion. No. Don't, not for client management. No. You need the simplest, dumbest, like most straightforward thing. One, so your clients can actually communicate with you in it, right? And they don't have to figure it out. Preferably one that if they do send you an email, it auto picks up the conversation and stuffs it into the client management system, okay, or the project management system. But it needs to be very, very simple and straightforward. And I recommend Basecamp all the time. Basecamp is very simple, it's very straightforward, it's designed for exactly this kind of work. And people will tell me, oh, it's not customized. It doesn't have to be. That's not the purpose. That's not the point, okay? And by the way, you're a web designer. You're not a project management system solutions specialist, okay? You can get fucking lost in these customizing, automating, No. That's not your job. Your job is not that, okay? Your job is to do the deliverables that you're supposed to be doing. And you just need a very simple management system to get it done. Simpler is better in this case. Okay. All right. Here we go. Right here. Skipping deliverables that are required to achieve relevant outcomes. If you haven't been pissed off to this point, here's your chance. Okay. You need, like for these people, oh, I should put this here. You need discovery. This is not well, I don't know if my clients are going to pay for that, Kevin. I just, I don't really enjoy doing that part of the project. So okay. You have to, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're going to build, let's just walk through this together. You're going to build the central marketing hub on the internet for this company that is supposed to meet all of these great goals. It's going to get them X amount of leads and X amount of sales and all this stuff that you talked. You're going to put all that together, but you haven't bothered to spend a day talking to the actual company about the inner workings. Because here, let me just give you one scenario. And I know you're going to want to point fingers. You're going to say, Kevin, that's not our job. Okay. Here's how this works. You put this nice landing page, website together, all of this stuff, okay? By the way, if you haven't talked to the sales team yet or whoever does the majority of selling, okay, because they probably don't just sell on their website, right? They sell other places, they sell other ways. And if you don't know how they do that, how are you possibly informed about how to do it on the internet for them? I don't know. You have to do discovery. If there's any SEO involved, if there's any PPC involved, if there's any, what does their social media look like? What are the strategies going to be? You're either doing it for free or you're not doing it. And if you're not doing it, you're not doing your job. Okay. That's all I can say. But you have to do the discovery. You have to charge for the discovery. I'm doing too many tangents. All right. Because I had another good point and I lost it trying to go off, but it'll come back to me. It'll come back. Don't worry. We will circle back. Okay. Wireframing. Here's another one. Dude, these get objected to all the time. I don't need to do wireframing, Kevin. It's too slow. Okay, you got to do wireframing. Why do you have to do wireframing? Because somebody's got to plan the UX. Somebody's got to plan the flow of the pages. If you're not a designer, you can't just do that in the design process. You shouldn't do it in the design process because design and UX, UI, those are two separate things, okay? You need to do the wireframing because you need to be able to hand this thing off to a designer who can actually design it. And this is where people are going to get, Kevin, I do my own design. I don't need to do, but your design sucks. Okay, Joe, it just does. Let's just talk about it. I mean, I'm on WDD Live every 2 weeks. You think you're a designer. Now, if you are a legit designer, like you were a designer before you were a web guy, coder guy, okay? You probably have an argument that you're an actual designer, right? You're probably, hopefully not doing the dev though, okay? And if you're trying to do all of these things, again, this goes back to you are a single point of failure and you're a single point of trust, and that is gonna have massive limits and it's gonna have massive risks, and really good clients are not gonna wanna take those risks, okay? That opens up an entirely new can of worms. So just understand this in the context of you kinda need to be an agency. You kinda need to have a little help, all right? And so you might do design, but maybe you hand off dev. You might do dev, hand off design. One of those two things. There are very few unicorns that are amazing at both of them, all right? Nick Arce is a unicorn. But you know what I would tell Nick? I don't know if he's here, right? Nick is a unicorn. I know a few unicorns, okay? I'm not one of them, by the way. I don't design. I can make passable shit that I copy from other places. I'm not a designer though. I'm just not. And I don't really enjoy it. So I always hand that off. I always pass out, hey, you you do that. I'll build it. You design it, right? Even if you're a unicorn, it's actually, let's listen to this, very important, okay? It's actually worse to be a unicorn because a unicorn has a really good excuse for why they should do it all. And they usually accept that excuse for themselves and they try to do it all and they burn out. It doesn't work out. The amount of work that they can do, the quality of work something is going to suffer somewhere. Whether it's work-life balance, whether it's the quality of their output, whether it's the timelines that they're agreeing to, something is going to fail, okay? And they have a good excuse though. I don't have a good excuse, so there's no problem. I just hand it off. And now I am better off, and my clients are better off because I handed it off, right? So if you're a unicorn, don't say, but Kevin, no, be careful. Be careful. You're in a worse spot. You're in a worse spot if you're a unicorn, okay? All right, what else? Copywriting. I know not enough of you are charging for this. Not enough of you are handing this off. I mean, I'm starting to get a little sketchy when you're like, Kevin, I'm a unicorn. I'm amazing at design and copy and wireframe and dev and animation. Guys, calm down. I don't know. I'm starting to not believe you a little bit. I'm starting to not believe you, right? Copywriting, hand it off. Hand it off. Are you even charging for it? Now, let's just be clear before we move on. This is the most important part of the website. That's as far as I can zoom in. That's as far. Can I color it? There we go. Let's make it pretty. Okay, that is the most important part of the website. Remember what I said a second ago? Skipping deliverables that are required to achieve the relevant outcomes. Copywriting is required. It is the most important thing. It should be written by people who know what they're doing. What is the main focus of most WDD lives? And what do I tell you all the time? This site's not pretty, but even if it was pretty, I hate it because it says all the wrong things. That's constantly, right? And it's, well, Kevin, it says what websites commonly say. Exactly. Stop being common because common sucks, okay? We go over this all the time in WDD Lives. Copywriting is a must. If you're not charging for the copywriting, if you're not controlling the copywriting, you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job. You're delivering something that is going to have mediocre results at best, okay? So that's got to happen there. What else? Management, right? Some of you are still, okay? We can go back to what we said a minute ago. You're building the site, handing it off, going, okay, there it is. And it's like, okay, what next? Like I built it for the client to manage. I don't know what to tell you. I build my sites for the client to manage. And then, okay, all right, let's check in on that. Why don't you come get me in 90 days and we'll check in on how that site's doing. You know, I've never said this before on WDD Live. I usually rail like the developers and the designers and the copywriters and such. But actually, what's probably most likely happened is a lot of those sites have been handed off. A lot of those sites are easily editable for the client, right? And total destruction has ensued. That it is absolute dumpster fire because Bev got her hands on it. That's why it's a dumpster fire. I get emails to this day. This is why I stopped. When I was doing agency stuff, I stopped telling people what my clients were, right? Because what would happen is the client for a year, 2 years, whatever, and everything's going great, everything's going fine. This happened with one of my bigger clients, and it's a natural ebb and flow, okay, that you're gonna run into. That they go in-house, right? That they're like, they've grown to the point where they feel like, you know, we could probably save costs or whatever, or we could get more control of things if we had an internal marketing team. And so they hire a bunch of expensive people and they get this marketing director to come in, and this marketing director is like Bev's fucking aunt or cousin or something, and she thinks she knows everything, but really she knows nothing. Because she did get an MBA, okay? She did, I could go on a whole college rant, okay? an MBA means that she paid a whole lot of money to go learn a whole lot of outdated shit that doesn't apply to the current market. And here she is on your front door going, well, I think we're going to take over, right? That's essentially what's going to happen in that scenario. And they're going to run that website into the fucking ground. And I get emails from people because they saw the URLs. They're like, Kevin, you're really slacking on this website these days. Looks like a fucking carnival. What's going on? And I'm like, I'll tell you what's going on, right? The know-it-all marketing director took it over internally, right? And now it looks like absolute dog shit. Because they always do that. It's just, that's routine. And so these things that I talk about online, like, this is why I say, you need, like, as long as you possibly can, be the manager of that website. Everything goes through you. Quality control. Are we doing the right things? And well, Kevin, they gotta be able to edit the site. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's go to where I want to skip ahead to one. Where is it? Where is it? Skimming deliverables. Okay. Did that one. Not checking in. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Let's just stuff this one in. Because it really fits. It really goes. Letting the client, now I'm not going to say, because people don't like me. They don't like me a lot when I say that. I just say, hey, I just told clients, it's not you, Jack. It's not your job. It's my job. It's my job to edit the site. It's not your job, okay? You go do, and clients never had a problem with this, by the way. So let's just, for the record, they actually love this. They think, so I have had a lot of clients tell me, Kevin, we got to be able to, I just can't imagine a universe where we can't edit this site, Kevin. And what I tell them all the time is, listen, you don't know what you're about to break. You don't know what you're doing. And I'm not insulting you. I'm just like, are you a web designer or not a web designer? You know, are you a developer or not a developer? This is objective things, right? You don't know what you don't know, essentially, is what this boils down to, okay? And I guarantee, Jim, you're a smart guy. You're a smart guy. I guarantee you have way higher value things that you could be doing with your time. You could be doing XYZ in this company. You could be doing XYZ for marketing over here. You could be going to this conference over here and giving a talk. You got so many things to do. Why are you editing the H1 on your about page, Jim? That's not for you, okay? So this is just business sense. The CEO of the company doesn't need to be involved with swapping out blog post images. That's just not what they need to be doing. They need to be doing higher value things. This is just helping them run their business a little bit better. But we had these conversations and I'm like, I promise you're going to understand the response time is going to be great. Everything that you want done is going to get done. It's going to get done in the time it needs to get done. And you're going to love it, Jim. You're going to love it. And then he's like, all right, well, we'll try it out that way for a couple months and see how, and then I just hear, Kevin, I have no need to edit this site. Like, I'm glad I'm not doing it. I'm glad I'm not doing it. That's the conclusion that they always seem to come to. But here's the thing, because I gotta have a second part of this for the people who refuse to accept it. Okay, at the very minimum, let's isolate this part right here. Okay, can we color this? Okay. Let's be very clear. They are going to break shit. And let's be very clear, even simple edits, changing a heading, swapping some images, okay? If you need to get into the technical details. If I have a landing page that's converting really, really, really well, and Jim goes in and he goes, this headline's I'm not vibing with this headline. It says, our auras don't align. And now he starts rewriting the headline for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter, whatever reason. He just fucked up the whole conversion rate. This whole thing we had going on could potentially be screwed up. Okay, if you don't know anything about copywriting, the headline is one of the most important things on the page. And you can completely kill people's desire to scroll if you have the wrong headline. And so we did a lot of work crafting that headline. And we have a lot of analytics that are tracking what's going on this page. And Jim just doesn't vibe with it. And we made it easily editable for Jim. And so Jim comes in and he changes the headline. And does Jim tell you that he changed that? No. Jim didn't tell you. So now we're at our analytics meeting, our monthly analytics meeting, and we're wondering why the numbers have tanked on this landing page. And, Jim might, if Jim's super honest, be like, well, I changed the headline, but very rarely does that happen. And we also have to understand that the scope of a project, this could be happening in multiple different areas, in multiple different ways, by multiple different people. Because the easier you make it, Bev's in here, Jan's in here, Derek's in here. We don't know who these people are, what they're doing. Lots of things are changing. Shit's declining and you don't know why. The analytics are all fucked up. We're losing rankings. Why is this page broken? Why is that link broken? Why is our performance metrics out of whack? Who's accountable to this? Guess what? You. You are. You built it. You let them in. You made it easy. You. They're never going to go, oh, sorry, our whole team fucked all that up. They're never going to say that, ever. So you are over here arguing with me about how important it is for them to go fuck this site up. And when they fuck the site up, guess what? They're going to blame you, the person who is advocating the most for why they should be able to do that. So if you don't want to listen to my advice, what I would make them do is I would make them sign a piece of paper that says, we agree to give you editing access, the consequences of which could be loss in rankings, loss in traffic, loss in conversion rate, loss in sales, loss in revenue, loss in this, loss in that, loss in this. Please sign. And then they go, okay. And then when they do go do what I already know they're going to do, and they come back to you, at least you have a piece of paper you can show. And you can go, well, that's not us anymore, okay? That's you. If you want to edit the site, you're responsible for the consequences of the edits. So I have two pieces of advice. One is stop letting them edit the site. Talk them out of it. I'm not saying physically bar them from, I'm saying talk them out of it. Talk them out of it. Influence them, okay? And if you can't, or you're just not the person that agrees with me, get them to sign a release, okay? Because I guarantee you, you will be at fault when things go south. They will not blame themselves. They will not blame, they're very terrible at taking accountability, okay? All right. People say I exaggerate the situation, but I can't possibly be exaggerating because we look at the sites every week. We look at the sites those sites got to that condition somehow, some way. Now you might, if you want to put all that on the developers and the designers and say, Kevin, nobody in this industry knows what the fuck they're doing. I guess you can make that argument. I would prefer to say, I think a lot of people put together some good sites and the clients got their hands on it and things went south. That's the story I choose to say, but we're not looking at, and I'm not just choosing random bad sites. These are what are being submitted to me. And I get people, you see, a lot of you don't see behind the scenes, okay? Some of these sites that get submitted, the emails come to me and they say, Kevin, please review this site. It's my client's existing site or new site or whatever. They built it in Elements or they think it's fantastic, right? Can you go break this down? And then I pull it up and I'm like, dear Lord, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. This is god awful, right? And so I do the review. But this is like behind the scenes, what's going on is literally them telling me the client made these changes or the client hired somebody new and they rebuilt it in Elements or look at this, right? That's what's going on. That's actually what's happening behind the scenes. I'm not exaggerating. I can't possibly be exaggerating. Now, if every time we get on WDD Live, I show some great website and then I'm over here telling the story about how all these websites get screwed up, yeah, those two things don't connect. But that's not what's happening. The reality is that so many websites are absolute trash. And they don't work right. And they don't function. They say the wrong things. Like, this is a known thing. I've said this before, but I think it bears repeating. We don't have an epidemic of amazing websites on the internet. We have an epidemic of shit shows, okay? So who's responsible? Just tell me who's responsible. Was it clients got their hand on it, or is it devs and designers just really don't know what the hell they're doing? It's got to be one or the other, because we don't have an epidemic of amazing websites. That is for sure. Okay. Let's go through these quick. They don't need a lot of clarification. Designing for the client and not the visitor. You are not designing for Bev or Jim or anybody else. You're designing for the visitor. Get that through your head. Fight against them. Defense, Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu, whatever you need to do. you're not designing for them, okay? Their opinions are irrelevant. Stop designing for them. Designing for ego and not the visitor, okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't let your designers do it. Design for the outcomes. Design for the outcomes. Same thing goes for writing, copywriting. Write for the client and not the visitor. Client's going to want to, well, you didn't talk about our company enough. Well, you didn't say how good we are. Well, you didn't mention this. My cat's picture's not in. It's not for you, Jim. Okay, we're writing for the client. We're writing for the visitor. Okay, all right. Let's go to. We did the editing without signing a release. Okay, don't do this. Don't do this. You know how many times I hear this? Why do you use Elementor? Well, our client wanted us to use Elementor. You know, I don't like it, but that's what we're doing. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop doing that. You're the expert. They hired you. They need you. You dictate. You say, hey, this is the stack we use. It's a professional stack. We use it for this reasons. We use it on every project. Well, we heard about this Elementor thing. We really want to do it. No. Okay, go hire an Elementor agency then. That's not for us. Let's loop all the way back. I don't need your money. Okay? If you want to hire me because you want my expertise and you want us to do things the right way and you want us to do things how we do and get the results that we got for everybody else, then we do things our way. That's it. If you don't want to do that, you can go hire somebody else. It's cool. It's all right. It's fine. Okay? Designing in a dev environment instead of a professional design tool. We already talked about that. We don't have to go back into it again. That's why everybody's like, Kevin, I don't want to use Figma. Well, yeah, you shouldn't be using Figma because you're not a designer. Of course you hate it. Of course it's not a great experience for you because you shouldn't be doing design, okay? How many truths can we say in one live stream that people need to hear but they don't want to hear? The amount of emails and comments I'll get after this, but it is what it is, okay? Not building on a live development server. From a sales perspective, it is insanely transparent for you trying to land a project going, we are going to build this on a live development server. You're going to be able to log in at any time and look at the progress. You're going to see what we're doing at all times, see what the progress is at all times. And then we're going to launch it. It's going to be great. Okay. But this idea, and just put yourselves in the shoes of a client. This idea that you're going to go off into some deep, dark basement and design on a local, right? Where the client has no insight into anything that's going on or what's happening or what the progress is. And you're just going to give them updates. Like, no, like from a client perspective, I want to see it. I want to see the progress. Okay. It's like I talk about application building, like building software. People build software in the dark of night that nobody ever gets to see or touch until it's way too late. Okay. Like the client, whether they're the user of the software, the person paying for the software to be developed, they have to have visibility into the progress. They have to be able to see it, touch it, smell it, taste it, whatever they want to do to it, okay? Build on a live development server, which will have the benefit, by the way, of you running into something you don't know how to do. And then you go ask for help. And we can go, can I have a link? You can stop going, well, it's on local. I can't give you a link. Okay. Well, solve the problem yourself then, bub, okay? Put it in a place where people can access it and see it if you're going to need help with it, which also gives you the benefit of putting it in a place where the client can see it and have visibility and everybody is happy, okay? I don't know what this obsession is with local development, but it needs to end. There's no reason for it. You can also, by the way, much more easily find performance issues before launch. During development, you can find performance issues. You can find a lot of things that you can't find on local. Not using a professional tool, racing to the no-code, low-code bottom. This should be, I shouldn't need to go into this. We live in the era of AI. No-code, low-code is a 10-year experiment that failed miserably. And everybody is running away from it at the current point in time at different paces, but they're all running away from it, okay? And with AI, they're realizing, damn, we really need code access for proper AI integration. There's a lot of reasons, right? But again, this kind of speaks to the, you don't let the client dictate the stack, but also discipline in yourself of, you need to be using professional tools, okay? This idea that we're just gonna keep using these nonsense, Fisher Price, seriously, it's like coming in and using something from Fisher Price. It's like, What are we doing? Nothing else has to be said about it. Being a pixel pusher instead of an expert consultant. Okay, we already went into why this is important. Here's another one. This goes in line with this one right here. Failing to develop better skills. So you use these no-code, low-code, race to the bottom Fisher Price tools, and then you are like, well, time is money. And so you talk yourself out of developing better skills elsewhere, whether this be in marketing or more development, okay? Because here's another like vicious cycle that people get into. They start with Elementor because it's easy. And they're like, well, I'll just get going with Elementor and then I'll branch out at some point. No, rarely happens, unless they're really pushed to. What ends up happening is they get super, super comfortable in Elementor, and the more comfortable they get, the less likely they are to branch out, the less likely they are to develop new skills. And then they start telling themselves this lie of, well, I mean, it's paying the bills. Time is money. I'm cashing the checks. And yeah, it doesn't happen. Okay. You look at that person 5 years later, and they still have the same skills they had 5 years earlier, essentially. And you look at the industry then, and you look at something like CSS, where we have massive developments in like color mix and OKLCH color spaces. And we're doing if functions now. And we're doing container queries instead of media queries. And we're on and on and on and on. Has completely left these people behind. You look at other aspects of the development like semantic HTML. They never picked it up. They never picked it up because these tools don't even give you real access to doing it in the first place. And they just decided, it's not something I'm going to worry about. And then all these things, they just keep getting passed by because we work in a fast-paced industry and they're at no pace. They're at no pace relying on the code or the tool to do all the code and all the everythings for them. And they're just reduced to a clicky, slide, color picker kind of person. And I'm just going to tell you flat out, AI is going to bend you over, okay? Absolutely bend you over. You are replaced first. That is the first layer of replacement, okay? So you decide. Pick your journey. Hey, pick your journey. Okay. Trying to one-man band it and not building a team. We talked about that earlier. Under-communicating. Don't do that. Over-communicate. Make sure the client understands everything about everything that's happening, everything that will happen, the timelines that will happen on. Over-communicate. This kind of goes into the under-communicating, but it's a separate toxic thing that it will come back to bite you in the ass. That's why I'm talking about it. Sometimes, and this happens if we scroll all the way back, I mean, we can go all the way back to here and here and here and here and here and here, because what happens when you're stuck in that vicious cycle is the client, and you know, this happens often because the clients are broke, right? They don't have the money to pay you. So you know what they do? They stop giving you the things that you need. Like, and this, I just love how all this shit ties together. It's like a neat little bow, right? Well, you said, well, I don't charge for content. I just get the content from the client. Kevin works for me. I just get the client, the content from the client. Okay, client's broke. Client doesn't want to pay the next milestone payment that you're on. So the client goes, well, I just won't give him the content. If I'm just busy and I don't give him the content, we don't hit the milestone. And if we don't hit the milestone, I don't have to pay him, right? And now you're coming around and you're sometimes, because you took on extra projects, because that last project you had, money ran out, got to get the next project. Now you got two people that need deliverables, and you're really hoping this client over here is like, maybe they get busy, which, by the way, already bites you in the ass because you're not going to get their milestone payment because you fucked that part up too, right? But now you're kind of like, oh, I kind of like it. And maybe they're a red flag client. Maybe they're a pain in the ass. And maybe you're like, I'm kind of glad that they're not messaging me right now. Let me go focus on this project over here, right? And then you look up and it's 8 months later, and Larry is still like, now Larry's back, by the way. Okay, yeah, let's tell the real story. Now Larry's back, and now Larry is more motivated than ever to get this project done right now. And he's really upset that you haven't been in communication the entire time, even though he hasn't either. Even though he really was broke back then, 8 months ago, didn't have the money, didn't really want to communicate with you. He's Larry. So he's still going to blame you for not communicating, right? Just don't do this. Like if the client is not to be found, literally, here's what you should do. Monday, hey, Larry. Well, first of all, you shouldn't be asking for content from Larry. Larry should be paying you for the copy and the content. And that way the project gets done on time because Larry's not going to delay you and you're going to get everything's going to work out. Okay. But let's say the client does disappear. Maybe they turn off auto pay. Maybe they, whatever. Okay. So, because maybe they are having cash flow issues. Maybe they don't want to tell you that or whatever. But this is not a scenario where you stop communicating. Every Monday, hey, this is our Monday check-in. Hey, we're still waiting on XYZ. Hey, we still haven't gotten that last payment. Hey, and all you're doing is building a chain of communication because they are going to come back to you. They are going to come back and they're going to say, hey, we're super motivated. And you're going to be like, yeah, what about this laundry list of Monday updates that we sent you that we got 0 responses to? Maybe we should talk about that first. And at least they cannot put any of that on you. It cannot be your fault in any capacity. Because let's go back to the universal truth. They will blame you. Doesn't matter what their motivation was. Doesn't matter how bad they were at communicating. Doesn't matter how long they disappeared for. They will blame you. Okay? So don't go along with this, is what I'm saying. Don't fall into that trap. If you fall into that trap, you're going to get skewered. Okay? Do not do it. All right. Let's go to this one. Not selling or thinking you don't have to sell or shouldn't have to sell. I get that. When we go back up to the sales area, all these things, right? Wow, Kevin, I shouldn't have to do all that. I shouldn't have to do all that, Kevin. I just want to build websites. That's all I want to do. Well, you're in the wrong business. You're in a sales business. This is if you're going to run the business, you got to be able to sell the thing that the business does. Okay, so you may want to go like put in a developer application at a company, right? Or a design application at a company. If you don't want to be responsible for the marketing and the sales and the this and the that, you're in the wrong line of work. Okay, you don't get to own your job. You don't get to be your own boss. Okay, because that kind of stuff has to happen. All right, last one. Big one. And I'm sure there's lots more, right? This is all I could do during my morning cup of coffee, okay? I'll probably come back and do many more in a different session on a different day. Relying only on referrals. I don't know how many times, because I get on call after call after call after call after call, helping agencies with all this kind of stuff, okay? And I just ask, where are you getting your clients from? Well, referrals. Okay, where else? Well, we just haven't needed really much else. We haven't really got anything else to work. And so, right now it's mainly referrals. Like, okay, like that's the reality that we're at now, but you cannot accept that. And you cannot buy into that. And you cannot say, that's what we're going to do. That is not a plan, okay? You need to have at least one other channel. And you need to start experimenting. Now, why don't they have one other channel? Often because they go, well, we can't afford to run Google Ads right now, or we can't afford to do this or that. Okay, now we gotta scroll back up. Where in the pricing and money and billing have we failed? Now let's fix that. Then we can come back down here, and now suddenly we have money to do another channel, right? But again, that's why all these things tie together. You are taking dramatic risks if every project that you get is referral. You need a steady stream that comes from elsewhere, okay? And it shouldn't be cold calling, and it should be knocking on doors. Like, that is a stream, but it's not scalable. It's not enjoyable. Can we just put that out there? I never did it. No cold calling, no cold emailing, no door knocking, none of that nonsense. It always felt awful and it's boring and I don't like to do it, and you don't have to. So don't think that you have to, okay? But what you cannot do is just rely on referrals and stick to that and say, it's fine right now, right? Nope, too much risk. You gotta add another channel. Okay, we got 5 minutes for Q&A. Yeah, this is a good quote right here. Yeah. Those in the race to the bottom replaced, those happy with mediocrity replaced. Yes. Yes. Okay. Let me go to Q&A. I'll do #Q. We don't have time for me to browse the chat. I have not read this book, How Big Things Get Done. But I'll put out the recommendation because Kashav says that it's a good read. So for anybody that might want to pick that up. For third countries, businesses are still trying to create an online presence more than money-making process. Yes. And you have two choices. You can be small with them, or you can expand your market. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying you are on the World Wide Web. Okay? Have you guys heard of this before? This is a crazy concept. That stands for World Wide Web, right? This is why my team, okay, from Italy, right, from Brazil, from Poland, from Germany, from Austria, from the world, right? Now, what I found is people think, or they try something, and they're like, it's not working. And they conclude that this can't be done. And I'm just going to tell you. And by the way, American businesses. I do know American businesses really well. I don't know UK businesses all that well because I've never even been to the UK. Hope to be in the UK soon, but I've never been there. So I'm not going to speak to UK businesses. I've never been to a lot of countries. I'm not going to speak to their businesses. But American businesses will hire people from literally anywhere, okay? If you can do the thing they need you to do really well, and you can communicate with them, even if it's damn like some sort of translation system, okay? They literally, capitalists don't care. If you can do what they need you to do and they like the price that you give, you're hired, my friend. You are hired. There is this idea that it's like, well, I'm from XYZ country. They're not going to hire me in the US. The hell they won't. They'll probably hire you first, okay? If they like you and you could do what they need you to do and it's a great price, they're going to hire you, okay? It's a matter of getting in front of them. It's a matter of making the connections, and it's doing whatever you need to do to start to branch out. People, even in America, locally, because I used to do brick and mortar stuff all the time. And I would talk to brick and mortar businesses all the time. And I would coach brick and mortar businesses. Back then it was how to get your business online, how to start taking advantage of these. And people would always tell me, because we'd get into these conversations, and they're like, Kevin, you just don't understand Bumblefuck, Georgia, right? And it'd be this like long lost county, city, town that nobody's ever heard of before. And they'll be like, it's just not how it works around here. And and I'm like, then get out of it. Leave, okay? Move. Because like all you're telling me is that kind of, Kevin, the kind of success you're talking about here doesn't happen here. Then why are you here? What? Leave the place. Do it, like figure out how to get out. Now, I'm not talking about countries where it's like, Kevin, I can't leave. There's a military at the border. They'll shoot me. Okay, I'm not talking about that, right? But I am talking about like, you can't tell me that success is not possible in your situation and then complain about how success is, you're not finding it. Okay, well, you already told me it's impossible. So what you're telling me, like, I don't know why people don't like the truth, but like, you're literally telling me your only option is to leave. That's what you just said. So don't get mad at me when I say leave. You just said that kind of thing doesn't happen here. So what do you want me to say? What do you want me to tell you? Okay. So yeah, it's like, is it easy to leave? No, nobody's saying it's easy to leave. But if you're literally like, Kevin, how do I be successful? I can't be successful here. How do I be successful? I'm giving you the obvious answer. Okay. It's just the answer you didn't want to hear. It's just the answer that's not easy. Okay. And by the way, lots of people, you know how America was built, right? America was built in all the countries where they're like, fucking success not happening here. Okay, get on a boat, go, right? And they just risk everything. They just went, right? And then a lot of people did that. So we can't say, you can't do that. You shouldn't tell people to do that. Why? Our whole damn country was founded on that, right? So yeah, it's like, now I'm gonna get a lot of letters, I'm gonna get a lot of emails, but it is what it is. Let's see. And I understand you can always make an excuse. You can always, but there are types of people. In fact, I'll tell you what I tell my softball team. Hey, it's 12-year-old girls. You can complain about the ref all you want. You can complain about the other team stacking their team all you want. You can complain about them having better facilities all you want. None of that shit does you any good. None of it. None of it. The only thing that does you good is figure it out. Figure it out. You have to refuse to make excuses. And when you refuse to make excuses, you will start finding greater success. Period. End of story. Okay? Let's see. What guarantees do you provide related to results? None. Zero. Nada. It's a good question. It's a good question. Let me see if this will be the last question. Oh, somebody else actually, how do you guarantee value? So that was the same question, multiple people. Could you know? Okay, good. This will be the last one. Okay, so what guarantees do you provide related to results? No guarantees. This is the honesty of selling. We cannot guarantee results. Oh, I knew I was going to circle back. Let's say you do your job amazing. You're getting clients to the site. The traffic is up. Conversions are up. But the problem is sales are not up. Okay? And you start digging in. What's going on? And you recognize, hey, I have put 100 leads on the desk of your sales team, and they've closed one of them. Okay, so a lot of you will be like, well, I did my job, right? In proper discovery, like when I sit down with a client's company, I go, walk me through. How do you guys sell? What do you say? What are the objections? I want to know all these things, right? And then they're like, well, we have a sales team over here. Can I talk to one of them? And we start talking. Well, how does this go? How do you keep track of these people? How often do you follow up? What's your initial response time? Blah, 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 blah. And I start collecting data. Well, see, early on in the discovery phase, I can already spot red flags. I can go, it takes you 3 days on average to respond to a lead that comes up. Well, we're busy. And usually this is like the single business owner. Right? I'm busy. I was out on a project. I was doing this and that. But dog, I can get you leads all day. If it's a 72-hour lag before you respond, you're not gonna have a good conversion rate. You're not gonna have a good close rate. And then you're probably gonna blame me for the website not working, right? Because who always gets blamed? Okay, the person who is trying to do the marketing, trying to help with the market. That's who they always blame, okay? So that goes back to why discovery is so important. But this concept that all these things have to go right. You need to look at the bigger picture. You need to be involved in all of that. A lot of you will say, that's not my area. If I get them the leads, I've done my job. But at the end of the day, they're gonna go, we're not happy. It's not working. Doesn't seem like we're just gonna go back to doing it the way that we've always done it. We want control of the website. We want to take it over. This is the conversation you're gonna end up having. And it is objectively not your fault, other than you should have done the discovery. You should have seen the red flags ahead of time, blah, 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 blah. But they literally want somebody who's going to provide the solutions. Now, you tell them, honestly, I cannot guarantee results. And that's one reason why you can't guarantee results. Because how you define results is a different definition depending on who you're talking to. They think results is money in their bank account. They don't care that it was their sales team that dropped all the leads. They're still blaming you, right? So there are no guarantees, but you do say, here is an entire SOW of what we are going to deliver. And when we deliver this SOW for client A and B and C and D and this one and that one over there, really, really, really good things have happened. And so what we're going to do is we are going to deliver for you in the same way that we delivered for them. And we're going to make the adjustments that we need to make when things aren't working. We're going to be right here with you, holding your hand, managing this site for you, right? This is what you're selling. You're selling the effort and the experience and the attempt, but you are not saying we are absolutely going to produce XYZ result. That's it, plain and simple, okay? All right, I think that's going to be it for today. I gave you all I could give. All I could give. Hopefully, you got, let me know. Did you get some good stuff? Not everything is going to apply to everybody, okay? Did you get some good stuff out of the stream? Some things that you think will help you? Some things that are immediately actionable? I'll wait for just a second and check the chat. Nick is here. Don't mind me. I'm just reading random chat messages. We'll echo this from Nick. Please stop doing everything on your own. I started charging to start bringing on quality team members so I can trust to pass off my work. Yeah, absolutely. It's just because I was duplicating things, and I just didn't write it. It was probably wireframing, copywriting, management, marketing was one of them. Discovery, wireframing, design. Design was the other step that a lot of people skip. They just design in development, you know, like it's like they just put it together as they go. And they're usually just copying some other, you know, theme, template, whatever, because they ask their client, you know, they're not designing for the visitor. They're not designing for the company's objectives. They said, hey, Bev, what kind of websites do you like? You know, what tickles your fancy, Bev? And then Bev's like, oh, I like these. And you're like, oh, what's your favorite, Bev? And you're like, that one. Like, oh, great. All right, let's just copy that. That is the design process of so many freelancers and agencies, right? I like this. This is a great tip from Jake. Hey, take this man's word. For those of you who might be listening and not actually watching, the best thing you can do is build a network. This took me forever to learn. I talk about this a lot in the inner circle, not just a network of, and not networking, okay? This is not, you show up, you pour your hot chocolate, you hand out 3 business cards, you wave goodbye, you do it again next. That's not what we're talking about. The first thing you can do for networking is you go find everybody in your area that do tangentially related things. They serve the clients that you serve just in a different way. So for example, I would immediately go out to sign shops. You know, the people who hang signs for businesses. So a business comes into the area, they get a new space, they need their sign above the space. They go to a sign shop makes them a sign, goes and hangs the sign. I want to be friends with all of those people, okay? And I want to tell them, hey, you have a referral partner for websites that all of these people need. And if they're like, yeah, we do. Okay, cool. Well, here's my card. Let's chat, whatever. And I might continue trying to build that relationship. But they might also say, no, not really. I mean, nobody good. Like we got a few people, but people haven't been very happy with them. Okay, fantastic. All right, now we have a conversation. Suddenly, before you know it, not only are they getting 10, 15% kickbacks from everybody they refer to you, because that's the deal you worked out with them, right? But you're getting a steady stream of like essentially targeted referrals, right? These are not just like sitting around waiting for referrals to come in. It's like a literal source of referrals. And then you find a design agency, maybe a branding agency, okay? Branding agency that does not do websites, dev, all that stuff. They just do branding. That's what they do, okay? I want to be friends with all those people. I want all those people to know me. I want to wine and dine all those people. I want I want to literally just try to become buddy with all those people, because then they're doing logos for these people. What do you need when you get a new logo? You need a website. You need all the other shit that's going on, right? And I want to be that in that person's mind, saying, hey, by the way, you're going to need a website for this. You're going to need all this shit. I got a guy for you, okay? Fantastic, you're in good hands. Yep, we'll do that. And when these people arrive on your doorstep, they're already pre-sold. They're already ready to go, all right? You just have to not drop the ball. Yeah, I offer everybody, for sure. Yeah. I'm not going to be like, hey, yeah, send me all your clients for free. That would be fantastic. Like, you will develop relationships with people who literally will just send you free business, right? And that's fantastic. And you should do the same when you have the opportunity. But if you're trying to develop these relationships, you should offer them something. You should offer them something for sure. Which, by the way, goes back into calculating agency pricing, okay? Knowing your agency hourly worth. Because you didn't account for this? You think that's a 10% cost to me? No. No, this is baked in, right? The reason I exist and can do the work I do and provide the value I can provide to my clients is because these are not just things I have to eat in terms of costs. These are all built into the model of what's happening here, okay? And that's how you have to think about it. It's not like, I got to give them up 10%. Now that 10% was already accounted for in the prices that I give. So I can easily just pass it along, right? Okay. I like these. They're hard to do. It's very taxing, because I am animated and energetic, but I like the format. I love a rapid fire format where especially if you can combine ranting and value together. That's just, to me, what do you there's a reason hundreds of people show up to the live streams, right? Where like everybody else in the industry, it might be, they're lucky to get 15, 20. I think nobody wants to fucking show up, and because people are always like, he yells too much. He does it. I'm like, what do you want you want to listen to a librarian? Like, what are we here for? Well, like, presumably, while you're getting the value, a little entertainment would be nice, See, Nick, I like the fact that a lot of this stuff is echoed. And here's the thing. There's going to be, this will be the final thing, and then I'll close with this, because you can easily get tricked by the excuse makers. There are people who will make endless excuses. They are making excuses not for your benefit, not to lead you down a better path, but for themselves. So they can excuse the situation they find themselves in. Oh, this doesn't apply. Oh, well, that's not this. Oh, well, okay? And there's the old parable of, what is it? Rats in a bucket or some shit. One's about to climb out. They got a fucking claws right in the back. Drag them right back into the bucket, right? See, they see you buying into some shit that actually might get you into a different place. And the excuses are their claws, and they will take them and just jab them right in your back. And they will snatch you right back into that bucket. Don't let them do that. Don't let them do that. And don't be that person. Don't be that person, okay? Because there are the people that make it out of the bucket will peer back over the edge and be like, guys, it's real different out here. It's real different out here. And the world does not work the way you think it does down in that bucket. And you got to believe them. They're not lying to you. They're not lying to you. You need to believe those people. So it's not just me. All right. I got to get out of here. I love you guys. I'll be back soon. Peace.